The UES Harbinger drifted silently through the void, its quantum phase hull absorbing all electromagnetic radiation. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on a holographic display showing the approaching Meridian Collective fleet. 27 ships, each bristling with what they considered advanced weaponry, moved in perfect formation toward Earth's outer defense perimeter. "They're broadcasting again, Captain," Lieutenant Park reported from his communication station. "Same message as before. Immediate surrender and technological submission to the Collective, or face extinction." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Meridian Collective had spent the last 3 centuries expanding through this arm of the galaxy, absorbing or destroying every civilization they encountered. Their method was always the same: overwhelm with superior numbers, demand submission, and then strip mine any useful technology before moving on. They'd never encountered a species that had mastered quantum mechanics quite like humanity had. "Send no response," she ordered. "Maintain quantum invisibility. Let's see how they handle being ignored." The Harbinger's bridge crew worked in practiced silence. To an outside observer, the ship would appear to be little more than a prototype stealth vessel, humanity's first tentative steps into advanced space warfare. The truth was far more interesting. "Captain," Commander Rodriguez called from tactical, "they're launching probe drones, standard electromagnetic and gravimetric scanning pattern." "Let them look," Sarah replied. "Active camouflage is holding steady. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see." The Collective's probes swept through space, their sensors probing for any sign of Earth's defenses. They found exactly what humanity had carefully arranged for them to find: a handful of basic orbital platforms, some early warning satellites, and a small fleet of conventional warships hiding behind Mars. All carefully crafted props in humanity's greatest deception. "Incoming transmission," Park announced. "They're getting irritated. The Collective commander is demanding to speak directly with Earth's leadership." Sarah straightened her uniform. "Put him through. Audio only." The voice that filled the bridge was deep and resonating, translated perfectly by the ship's eye. "This is Supreme Commander Vextol of the Meridian Collective. Your pitiful attempts at hiding your true capabilities only delay the inevitable. Submit now, and we will be merciful. Continue this charade, and we will reduce your cities to ash." Sarah nodded to Park, who opened a channel. "This is Captain Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We're a peaceful species, Supreme Commander. We have no wish for conflict." A bark of laughter. "Peaceful? Our scans show primitive weapon systems and outdated shield technology. You're not peaceful. You're simply weak. You have one planetary rotation to surrender, or we begin our assault." The channel closed. Sarah turned to her crew, noting the subtle smiles on their faces. "Well, that went exactly as expected. Status of the quantum net." Rodriguez's fingers danced across his console. QE nodes are in position and synchronized. The entire Collective fleet is within the field. "And they have no idea," Sarah mused. Humanity had learned long ago that broadcasting their technological achievements only invited trouble. Better to keep their true capabilities hidden, wrapped in layers of quantum deception, until they had no choice but to reveal them. The Collective fleet moved closer, their formation tightening as they prepared for what they assumed would be a brief and decisive battle. Their sensors showed them a primitive civilization, barely able to achieve interplanetary travel. Their tactical computers calculated a 99.9% chance of victory. Those same sensors completely missed the quantum-entangled web that now surrounded their ships, invisible to any detection method they possessed. They couldn't see how each node linked to the others, creating a multidimensional maze that could rewrite local spacetime with terrifying precision. "They're launching fighters," Rodriguez reported. "Standard intimidation pattern. Looks like they want to give us a demonstration of their power." Sarah settled into her command chair. "Tactical, prepare quantum disruption fields. Communications, send the following message. Supreme Commander, we accept your terms. However, we feel it's only fair to show you something first. The collected fighters streaked through space, their energy weapons charging. Behind them, their capital ships moved into bombardment position, ready to rain death upon Earth's supposedly primitive defenses. Message from Vextal. There is nothing you could show us that would change the outcome of this day. Sarah's smile widened slightly. That's where you're wrong, Commander. Lieutenant Park, activate the quantum net. Let's show the collective why humanity never advertises its true capabilities. The space around the collective fleet began to shimmer, reality itself seeming to twist and fold. On 27 ships, alarms began to blare as sensors reported impossible readings. In the next moment, every fighter they had launched simply ceased to exist, converted to quantum energy, and absorbed into the net. Net is stable, Rodriguez reported calmly. All collective ships are now isolated in their own quantum bubbles. They can't communicate with each other or activate their weapons. Open a channel to Vextal's flagship, Sarah ordered. I believe it's time for a lesson in making assumptions. Supreme Commander Vextal stood rigid on his bridge, mandibles clicking in barely contained fury as he watched his mighty fleet become trapped in shimmering quantum bubbles. His tactical officers frantically worked their stations, trying to understand what was happening to their ships. Impossible, his science officer whispered, compound eyes fixed on readings that defied explanation. They've somehow created localized quantum fields around each vessel. We're cut off from the fleet network. This is Captain Chen. The human's voice came through clearly, though their communication should have been disabled. I trust we have your attention now. Vextal's outer membrane flushed with rage colors. Whatever primitive trick this is, it won't save you. The collective has conquered species far more advanced than what you thought we were. Sarah interrupted. That was rather the point, Commander. You see, humanity learned long ago that true power lies not in showing strength, but in choosing when to reveal it. The quantum field around Vextal's flagship rippled, and suddenly his bridge crew could see the UES Harbinger. The vessel seemed to phase into existence, its hull covered in patterns that hurt to look at, its very presence suggesting technologies that the collective had only theorized about. That's not possible, the science officer breathed. Their ship, it's operating on multiple quantum states simultaneously. On the Harbinger's bridge, Sarah nodded to Rodriguez. Demonstrate Phase 2, Commander. Let's show them what happens when they threaten Earth. The quantum fields surrounding the collective fleet began to pulse with precise frequencies. On each ship, weapon systems simply disappeared, converted into harmless energy that dissipated into space. Shields followed, then engines, each transformation executed with surgical precision. What you're experiencing, Sarah explained to the increasingly panicked collective commander, is targeted quantum conversion. We're not destroying your technology. We're simply shifting it into alternate states of existence. Don't worry, the process is completely reversible. Vextal's flagship shuddered as its main reactor was temporarily shifted into a quantum state where it couldn't interact with normal matter. Emergency power kicked in, barely maintaining life support. Your species, Vextal managed, his voice hoarse. You were supposed to be primitives. Our intelligence showed basic spaceflight capabilities, minimal weapons, all carefully crafted illusions, Sarah replied. While the collective was busy conquering through brute force, humanity was mastering the art of quantum engineering. We didn't build bigger ships or more powerful weapons. We learned to manipulate reality itself. Through the quantum field, Vextal watched as more human ships phased into view. Each one demonstrated capabilities that his scientists had deemed theoretically impossible. Some seemed to exist in multiple places at once. Others bent light and space around them in ways that defied physics as the collective understood it. The choice is now yours, Supreme Commander, Sarah continued. We can reverse what we've done, restore your ships to full functionality, and you can return to collective space with a warning. Earth is not to be trifled with. Or, she let the alternative hang in the air, unspoken but clear. The collective fleet, pride of their civilization, hung powerless in space, completely at the mercy of a species they had grievously underestimated. Lieutenant Park's console chimed. "Captain, we're detecting quantum signature fluctuations from their auxiliary ships. They're attempting to recreate our technology." Sarah smiled. "An admirable effort, but premature. Commander Rodriguez, if you would." The quantum fields pulsed again. Every attempt by collective scientists to analyze or replicate the human technology resulted in their equipment reconfiguring itself into elaborate abstract sculptures. "That's not meant as an insult," Sarah explained to Vextal. "Consider it a gentle reminder that some technology should be earned through careful development, not stolen or copied. Your scientists are welcome to study the sculptures. They contain complex quantum equations that might help your civilization advance naturally." Vextal's color patterns shifted from rage to something approaching respect. "You could have destroyed us at any time." "We could have," Sarah agreed. "But humanity's strength isn't in our ability to destroy. It's in our capacity to show restraint, to use power responsibly, something the collective might learn from." Around the fleet, the quantum fields began to stabilize, allowing limited power to return to the collective ships. Their weapons and primary drive systems remained in quantum flux, but they could at least maneuver on auxiliaries. "Consider this a diplomatic opportunity," Sarah offered. "Return home. Tell your leaders what you've witnessed. When you're ready for genuine peaceful contact, not conquest, Earth will welcome the conversation. Until then, we'll be watching. The quantum net we've established through this sector of space will ensure the collective remembers the importance of peaceful coexistence." The Emergency Council chamber of the Meridian Collective blazed with agitated bioluminescence as Supreme Commander Vextal presented his report. The circular hall, designed to showcase the collective's technological supremacy, now seemed almost primitive compared to what they'd witnessed in Earth space. "The recordings must be flawed," High Counselor Zinra insisted, her crystalline appendages clicking against the neural interface of her hover throne. No species could advance from basic spaceflight to quantum manipulation in such a short time. Vextal activated the holographic display, showing the moment the UVS Harbinger revealed itself. The assembled council fell silent as they watched reality bend around the human vessel. "The recordings are accurate," he stated, "but what you're seeing isn't even their most impressive capability. Watch." The display shifted to show the quantum fields that had ensnared the collective fleet. The Council's chief scientist, Delmar, leaned forward, his sensory filaments writhing with excitement. "Fascinating," he breathed. "They're not just manipulating quantum states, they're rewriting the fundamental rules of local spacetime, the mathematics involved. It's beautiful. Beautiful." Another counselor scoffed. "They humiliated our fleet. They turned our weapons into artwork." "That's exactly the point," Vextal countered. "They could have annihilated us. Instead, they chose to teach. Those artworks they created from our scanning equipment. Our scientists have been studying them. Each one contains encoded information about quantum field theory, but presented in a way that forces us to develop the underlying principles ourselves." The chamber erupted in debate. Some counselors called for immediate retaliation, others for diplomatic contact. A few simply sat in stunned silence, their worldview shattered by the revelation of humanity's true capabilities. Meanwhile, aboard the Harbinger, Captain Chen reviewed the quantum net's data streams. The collective's response would determine humanity's next steps. "They're analyzing the sculptures," Rodriguez reported. "Multiple research facilities have begun working on the equations we provided." "Interesting approach. They're crowdsourcing the problem across their entire scientific community." Sarah nodded. "Good. They're learning to collaborate rather than compete." "How are the quantum fields holding?" "Stable across all monitored sectors. The net is self-adjusting as designed. If they try to move military forces toward Earth space again, we'll know instantly." Lieutenant Park looked up from his station. "Captain, We're detecting unusual quantum signatures from several collective worlds. They appear to be experimenting. Sarah pulled up the data on her command interface. The collective scientists had taken the basic principles encoded in the quantum sculptures and begun applying them in unexpected ways. Instead of weapons or shields, they were developing medical applications, environmental restoration technology, and new forms of faster-than-light travel. "They're surprising us," she mused. "Most species, when given access to quantum manipulation technology, immediately try to weaponize it. The collective is evolving." "Incoming transmission," Park announced. "It's from their Science Council Priority Channel." The holographic display shimmed to life, showing Delmar's eager face. "Captain Chen, I hope we're not interrupting anything crucial." "Not at all, Chief Scientist. I see you've been busy." Delmar's sensory filaments rippled with excitement. "The principles you encoded in those sculptures, they're revolutionary. We've already developed theoretical models for cleaning up industrial waste using targeted quantum conversion, and our medical researchers think we can use similar techniques to cure several genetic disorders that have plagued our species for generations." Sarah shared a knowing look with her crew. This was exactly what they had hoped for, the collective beginning to see technology as a tool for advancement rather than dominance. "That's impressive progress," she acknowledged, "though I notice you haven't attempted to reconstruct any of the military applications." "Why would we?" Delmar asked, genuinely puzzled. "You showed us something far more valuable than weapons. You showed us possibility. The ability to rewrite reality itself. That's too powerful to waste on destruction." "Captain," Rodriguez interrupted softly, "we're detecting quantum fluctuations across the entire collective network. They're dismantling their weapons of mass destruction, voluntarily." Sarah felt a surge of pride, not in humanity's superior technology, but in the collective's capacity for change. "Chief Scientist, I believe it's time we had a proper discussion about the future. Your people have shown they're ready for the next step." Delmar's entire form brightened. "You mean?" "Yes. Earth would like to propose a joint research initiative. Equal partners, sharing knowledge and working together to advance both our civilizations. After all, the universe is vast, and there's so much more to discover." 6 months after the confrontation in Earth space, the Joint Human Collective Research Station, Convergence, hung in orbit around a neutral star system. The massive structure represented something unprecedented in the galaxy, a place where two vastly different civilizations worked together to unlock the universe's mysteries. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the station's quantum observatory, watching as human and collective scientists collaborated on a new experiment. The sight still amazed her. Beings who had been ready to war with each other, now working side by side, their differences forgotten in the pursuit of knowledge. Remarkable progress, isn't it? Delmar floated beside her, his sensory filaments gently waving in the station's artificial atmosphere. "Yesterday, the combined team made a breakthrough in quantum tunneling that neither of our species had achieved alone." Sarah nodded. "That's what happens when you focus on creation instead of destruction. Though I hear some elements in the collective are still resistant to the change." "Ah, you're referring to the preservation faction." Delmar's color patterns shifted to show mild annoyance. "They believe we're abandoning our heritage by working with humans. They don't understand that we're fulfilling it in ways our ancestors never imagined." The quantum observatory's displays showed real-time data from experiments being conducted throughout the station. In one lab, researchers were developing ways to restore ecosystems damaged by centuries of warfare. In another, they were exploring methods to stabilize dying stars, potentially saving billions of lives across multiple civilizations. "Captain Chen," Lieutenant Park's voice came through her neural link, "we're detecting unusual quantum signatures from the experimental sector. Dr. Reynolds and Chief Scientist Delmar's team may have achieved their objective." Sarah turned to Delmar, who was already radiating excitement. "Shall we?" They made their way to Experimental Lab 7, where a team of human and collective scientists huddled around a quantum containment field. Inside, a small object seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, its form shifting between solid, energy, and something else entirely. "It works," Dr. Reynolds announced, her dark eyes shining with triumph. "We've created the first stable quantum transmutation matrix. With this, we can convert matter to energy and back again with perfect efficiency. No waste, no loss, no environmental impact." "The applications are endless," Delmar added. "Clean energy production, waste management, terraforming. We could even restore planets stripped bare by the collective's old mining operations." Sarah watched the scientists celebrate their achievement, noting how natural the cooperation between humans and the collective had become. "You've all done remarkable work. Though I suspect this isn't the breakthrough you're most excited about, is it, Delmar?" The chief scientist's color patterns shifted to show slight embarrassment. "Ah, you know about Project Genesis. I make it my business to know what happens on this station. Your team's work on quantum consciousness transfer is ambitious." In a secure lab deep within the station, another joint team was exploring the fundamental nature of consciousness itself, using quantum mechanics to understand how awareness and intelligence emerged from the underlying fabric of reality. The implications were staggering: potential immortality, the ability to preserve entire civilizations, even the possibility of communicating with higher dimensional beings. "We've learned more about ourselves in 6 months of cooperation than we did in centuries of conquest," Delmar observed. "Though I must ask, why did humanity wait so long to reveal their true capabilities? Why maintain the deception?" Sarah considered her response carefully. "Humanity learned early in our development that power isn't just about having advanced technology. It's about knowing when and how to use it. We could have dominated the galaxy, forced other species to submit to our will. Instead, we chose to wait, to watch, to understand. And to guide," Delmar added. "Those quantum sculptures you gave us, they didn't just teach us about technology. They taught us how to think differently, how to see beyond our preconceptions." A soft chime interrupted their conversation. The Quantum Observatory's displays showed a new development. The Collected's homeworld had just voted to formally dissolve their military hierarchy, replacing it with a council dedicated to peaceful exploration and scientific advancement. The final vote was nearly unanimous, Delmar reported, his form glowing with pride. "The preservation faction's influence has waned as our people have seen the benefits of cooperation. We're even discussing opening our borders to species we once considered beneath us." Sarah smiled. "Sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't a quantum field or a reality warping drive. Sometimes it's simply showing people a better way." The quantum containment field pulsed as the experiment entered a new phase. In its shifting surface, human and collective scientists saw reflections of a future they would build together, not as conqueror and conquered, but as equals united in the pursuit of knowledge. 1 year after the establishment of Convergence Station, the UES Harbinger and a collective science vessel, Quantum Seeker, traveled together through unexplored space. The joint mission symbolized how far both civilizations had come, from the brink of war to partners in discovery. Captain Sarah Chen stood on her bridge, but the atmosphere was dramatically different from that tense first encounter. Where once there had been battle stations and tactical displays, now there were scientific instruments and research data streams. Besides her human crew, several collective scientists worked at specially modified stations. "Quantum anomaly detected," announced Dr. Reynolds, working in tandem with a collective sensor specialist. "It's unlike anything in either of our databases." On the main view screen, space itself seemed to ripple and fold. The anomaly pulsed with colors that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime, its very presence challenging both species' understanding of reality. "The Quantum Seeker is requesting the joint approach," Lieutenant Park reported. "Supreme Science Director Vextal is eager to begin the investigation." Sarah smiled at the irony. The former Supreme Commander had undergone perhaps the most dramatic transformation of all, trading his military title for a scientific one. His tactical brilliance now served to coordinate research expeditions instead of invasion fleets. "Signal our agreement," she ordered. "Initiate quantum synchronization protocols." The two ships moved in perfect harmony, their advanced quantum drives allowing them to navigate the distorted space around the anomaly. What would have once been seen as a tactical challenge was now an opportunity for discovery. "Captain," Vextol's voice came through clear on the quantum comm. "Our preliminary scan suggests this anomaly might be artificial in nature, perhaps a remnant of an ancient civilization's experiments with quantum engineering." "Agreed," Sarah replied. "The pattern structure is too ordered for a natural phenomenon." "Dr. Reynolds, what do you think?" The human scientist worked quickly with her collective counterparts, their different perspectives combining to form new insights. "It's a quantum archive," she announced finally. "Similar in principle to the sculptures we gave the collective, but vastly more complex. It's storing knowledge, incredible amounts of it." The two ships maintained their position as joint teams began the delicate work of accessing the archive. Hours passed as they carefully decoded the quantum signatures, each new discovery adding to their excitement. "This is remarkable," Vextol commented, his voice filled with wonder rather than the military precision it once carried. "The civilization that created this, they were masters of quantum mechanics far beyond even humanity's current level, and they left this here for others to find. Just as humanity did for the collective," Delmar observed from his station on the Harbinger. "They understood the same principle, that knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. That advancement comes through cooperation, not conquest." The archive began to yield its secrets. It contained scientific knowledge spanning millions of years, left behind by a species that had transcended physical form to become pure quantum energy. But more than just technical data, it carried a message, a challenge to those who found it. "They're asking us to join them," Dr. Reynolds explained, her voice hushed with awe. "Not just humans or the collective, but all species who reach this level of development. They've created a network of quantum consciousness spanning multiple galaxies, and they're inviting us to be part of it." Sarah exchanged glances with Vextol through the quantum comm. A year ago, such a discovery would have led to competition, perhaps even conflict, as each species tried to claim the knowledge for themselves. Now, the decision was obvious. "We'll face this challenge together," Vextol declared. "Our civilizations have grown stronger through cooperation than we ever were in isolation." "Agreed," Sarah responded. "And we'll extend the same opportunity to others that humanity extended to the collective. As we explore this new frontier, we'll help guide other species toward peaceful advancement." The quantum archive pulsed, as if responding to their decision. New data streams appeared, showing the locations of other archives scattered throughout the galaxy, each one a stepping stone toward a level of existence that neither humanity nor the collective had imagined possible. "Send word to Convergence Station," Sarah ordered. "Tell them we're going to need more joint research teams. A lot more." As the Harbinger and Quantum Seeker began their journey back to Gnome space, they left behind a quantum beacon, a marker for other species who might one day reach this point. But unlike the warnings and threats that once marked the boundaries of collective space, this beacon carried a message of hope and invitation. To those who find this place, it broadcast in all known languages, know that the path forward lies not in solitude but in unity, not in power over others, but in growing together. When you're ready, we'll be waiting to welcome you to a greater understanding of the universe. The legacy of humanity's first encounter with the collective had grown into something neither species could have predicted, a future where advancement was measured not in military might or technological superiority, but in the ability to raise others up alongside yourself. As their ships entered quantum space, Sarah reflected that perhaps this had been humanity's greatest achievement, not mastering the quantum realm, but learning to share that mastery with others.